I sold my last company for $46.2 million. I crossed $100 million in net worth at age 32. And I just made my biggest investment ever by becoming the co-owner of Skool. And I always wanted breakdown videos from Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett and Elon Musk. What were they thinking? Like, of course they're 100 billion now, but I want to know what they were thinking at 100 million and 10 million. I want to show you what the thought process is behind the investment, and most importantly, how you can model that decision-making framework to make way more money in your life. I decided to invest in Skool and make my single largest investment to date, including putting my brand behind it and endorsing the company, because there's multiple things that are aligned in the same direction. And so Charlie Munger talks about this. He calls it the Lollapalooza effect. And so usually when you get these like massive, explosive growth opportunities, it's not because of one thing. So a lot of people want to have a silver bullet. So it's kind of like a silver bullet fallacy. It's thinking that there's this one big thing that if we just do that, then everything else will work. And more times than not, it's the 100 golden BBs, no silver bullets. It's 2, 3, 5, 6 things that all have an incremental boost, but when you multiply all of them together, create this insane outcome. And so I see that with Skool. And so let me zoom all the way back out to like the ecosystem. So this would be like big thing number one. If we look at the education industry, so let me show you some math real quick. Education globally is 10 trillion. Big. All right. US is 1.3 trillion. Still very big. Now, this is split between two things. You've got formal education, so that would be like 2-year and 4-year degrees. And right now that's around, depending on the source, 850 billion. And for those of you who Google and find out that it's 863, or another source says 842, it doesn't matter, because in this type of stuff that we're talking about big forces and we're talking about directional correctness. But it's around 850 billion for formal education. Now, on the other side, it's split. You've got e-learning and online education. I'll put it that alternative education, which right now is about 250-ish billion, 200 to 250-ish billion, depending on your source. All right, so close to that. Now, here's the really interesting thing about this, and this will relate to why I'm betting really big on Skool, or at least one of the reasons, is that this one is shrinking by 6% per year. Kind of interesting. This one is growing by about $40 billion per year. Now, that is because this one's growing at roughly 20% per year. So you've got this massive nut here that's shrinking by 6%, all right, which is about, what's the math here? About $50 billion is what it's losing every year. And we've got this other one that's gaining $40 billion a year and growing at 20%. So when I see these two things, and I see this big overall industry in terms of 1.3 trillion, 1.2 trillion, whatever, I see this as actually a crisscross. So formal is continuing to go down, and alternative, or e-learning, et cetera, is continuing to go up. And so it's almost the exact amount that this one loses every single year is almost the same amount that this one is gaining every single year. And so that underpins a shift in buying behavior. People are seeing more and more that formal education doesn't give the return that it was promising. And people are able to learn skills directly that can contribute to them making more money and being able to contribute in society, feed their families, pay their rents, pay their mortgages, and ultimately just live productive lives. And so if you're a hairstylist, you're like, well, you know what? The formal education thing doesn't matter, because all I have to do is like learn how to like post on Instagram, like my clients that even I do in my garage, and I get more DMs for people who want me to do that, and not a single customer's ever asked me for what my certification was. Huh. So maybe this skill is more valuable than this skill. Huh. And this girl is willing to teach me how she does it for $1,000, whereas this Skool is 2 years and 15 grand. Well, the ROI is not there, right? And so what's happening is a lot of this money that has been going to these big endowments, these Harvards, these big university money. Now, I do think at the top, those guys are probably protected for a while, but it's like the mediocre middle. It's CCU State, right? Like those are the ones that have 4-year degrees that don't mean anything, that no one cares about. All of that money is getting actually pushed all the way back down to the bottom to basically creators, people who are good at teaching a niche skill. They're like, hey, I did this thing, it worked well for me, here's how you can do it. And that works for anything, whether it's like you're selling to customers like, hey, I lost this weight, this is how I did it, I eat all meat all the time. And somebody else is like, I only eat plants, whatever. And if that sounds cool to you, I can show you how I did it. And so this industry is continuing to grow. So when I see this, I think, okay, huge amount of money changing hands in a very fast time zone. I'd rather be in this boat than in this boat. And so that's thing number one. So that's kind of the industry overall. Now, if you look at me personally, like how do I intersect with this? Well, the first two companies that I sold, so Gym Launch and Prestige Labs, well, I'd sold companies before that, but they were just low seven-figure numbers, not bigger numbers. Those companies service creators. And as somebody who came from first a direct response marketing background and selling media and licensing to brick and mortar gyms, I'm really familiar with this model. Like there is no university for gyms. And so I did my best to create that university for gym owners, because if you went to school for being a gym owner, you'd make a heck of a lot more money than if you just went to school for like business and then opened a gym. I have lived through this huge shift in wealth because like I started, I think when I was 27 years old, I think we took home $16 million in income, just capitalizing on this trend. And so I know that that money is out there and people are starving for information that they can actually use to feed themselves. And so I have the big trend data that I can see on the charts and the big fancy finance people, but I also have my personal anecdote of having experienced that huge amount of wealth coming towards me. So that's thing number two. Thing number three is, where do I fit in with this ecosystem? And so my audience, for the most part, is split between business owners and people who'd like to start a business. My whole mission with making the content that we do has been to make real business accessible for everyone. And so early on for me, I didn't have a lot of mentors and help. And so I just looked everywhere I could to learn this stuff. And I learned a lot of it the hard way. One of the reasons that I put this stuff out there is that also some of the sources that exist out there are just honestly false. Like they are teaching things they have not done. They're regurgitating content from other people and getting key points wrong because they don't know why it's right to begin with, and just basically leading people astray. And I actually don't think it's malicious. I think they just want the views, they want the likes, they want the ad revenue, whatever. And like, I don't blame, whatever. I would like to at least put stuff out there that I know, like I have done this and I have done it many times. And so if you follow this process, whether you're a good person or a bad person, it will probably work for you. And so my audience knows that my whole goal has been to make real business accessible for everyone. And so if we're thinking, okay, Alex, you could have promoted, I don't know, pick something, drop shipping. Like there's a lot of different things I could have done, but why Skool particularly? Well, because the mission of Skool aligns with my personal mission, which is to make real business successful for everyone. They want to, like Skool wants, myself included now, I'm a co-owner, want to make business fun and easy for everyone. And so I spent 6 months talking to the founder about like, what do you really want this to become? And he has a huge, massive vision, and his vision aligns with my vision of how big I think this space really is. If you think about all the different industries that exist, most of them have been disrupted by technology in some way. You've got like Airbnb. So hotels got attacked by Airbnb. Taxis got attacked by Uber. These are the famous examples, right? But there isn't, if you think about it, no one's disrupted education. No, like there's no one place that everyone goes to learn stuff. It's still completely fragmented. And as somebody who's been in that space and understands that space very well and sees the trends, I believe that there will be someone who will take it. And my bet is that Skool will be that company. Now, why Skool versus the zillions? So this is like, I guess, point 4, which comes down to why this particular company, this particular product. And hopefully even going through this, the thought process, you can still relate to any major decision that you have to make in your life. And so why Skool particularly? One of my big litmus tests for something, a product that I'm going to promote, is that I want it to grow on its own. Meaning, if the only way that a company grows is that it advertises, and when it stops advertising, it goes down, I don't like that. I like to have passive growth. And so let's go over here and I'll walk you through it. So there's something that I call the golden ratio in business. You have the percentage of customers who refer customers and the percentage of customers who exit. So these people exit, these people refer, And if the percentage of people who leave every month, so this is 0.1, so 10%. All right, I'll put it as percentages rather than decimals. There you go. Hopefully, bear with me. If 10% of my customers refer me a new customer every month, and 10% leave every month, then my business will stay the same. Now, if 20% of my customers refer me a customer every month, and the same 10% exit, my business, over whatever this interval of time is, will 2x, 2 over 1. And that means that no matter how big I get, the business will consistently double every one of those time intervals. And so I look very carefully at what percentage of customers decide to bring other customers to the business and what percentage are leaving or choosing not to buy again. And this works whether you're selling physical products, it works whether you're selling software, it works whether you're selling services, it works the same way. And so this golden ratio of percentage of referrals over percentage of people who leave or churn is what tells you the passive growth rate of a business. Now, the vast majority of businesses, they've got, let's call it, 2% of people are referring, and they've got, 10% of people that are leaving. And so they have to fill this bucket up with ads or marketing or outreach or whatever it is that they have to do to fill up the top side so that they just don't lose everyone over time. And that's because they don't understand how to build a good product. Now, once you have a company that does this and does have more people who refer than leave every month, that is when this is a flame. That's when you pour gas on this thing and you say, okay, now I want to tell the world about it so that that number of doubles, it just goes dot, 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 and then it doubles off the chart. And then you add even more and then doubles again off the chart because you're just increasing the N as fast as you can so that the doubling happens on a bigger amount of customers. And so if all this Skool stuff sounded interesting to you, I do have an easy offer for you. You can go to skool.com/games. And what we have inside for you is we have 3 calls a week with guys who are actually making tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on Skool using the platform, teaching you exactly what they did step by step. So we've got calls for you of other people. We've got a community of others to help you out. And I think the benefit here is that you get people who are both starting with you at zero, but people who are also at the end of the race cheering you on. And so you kind of have like 3 types of accountability. So you've got peer accountability, you've got kind of like coach accountability because people are rooting for you, but then you also have alumni accountability, people who've already been through it. And then I made a course that I put in there. It's free. It just shows you how to do this, the different ways to play the game, the different kind of like avatars that you can self-select. Maybe I'm somebody who likes making content. Maybe I'm somebody who's better at ads. Maybe I'm somebody who already has an audience. Maybe I'm somebody who likes outbound. Maybe I'm somebody who likes to have a partner. So I break down all the different paths that you can use to really start making money on the internet with what I think is the easiest business model out there. The best part, in my opinion, is that all of this stuff, obviously we have the prizes, the top 10 get to fly out, so hopefully you can do that. But you only need 3 people, and I just did a 1-day full deep dive. It's 8 hours of me just helping the top 10 communities scale, and those recordings are live right now. So if I had a $100,000 mastermind or something, this would be it, except it's yours and it's free. And here's my incentive for you. If you just get 3 people into your group. All right, so I like to put as low as I possibly could. You get 3 people into your group, you can get your friends in there. I don't care if you cheated, it's fine. Get 3 people into your community, and you get all the downloads from that. And all of this stuff, you can start for free for 14 days, just so you can get a feel for it. You can go in there, download everything, and steal it all for all I care. All right, but my hope is that you actually use it so you can make your first dollar. And I will just repeat this one stat because I think it's the most important stat I think of the business right now, is that 30.4% of people who finish their first month of the Skool games make their first dollar online.